Today we're going to see how to import a CSV file to EntraPass Corporate Edition. There's a few rules that we must think ahead before importing a CSV file. So the first thing, the CSV import-export feature allows the ability to import or export CAD files that are saved in a CSV format. Importing and exporting data between two applications allows the ability for the two applications to share the data. CSV can be edited in most applications, Excel or Notepad. The CSV import-export feature imposes a number of rules. Each field contains a specific value format that has to be respected. To import-export card information, you may use Kentech predefined patterns, or you may create your own custom patterns. Make sure you add the card access group, the card type fields to the pattern, since we cannot import access levels and must know what column it is on. The more and more that you work with the Kentech system, you're going to see how important it is to set card types, especially when you have different environments, so different department working in the building. So you can have people working in IT, people working in administration, people working as contractors, and etc. So other things that's very important to be aware of that. Also, when importing the card access group, we can link it to the card type in global or corporate. Every time a card is entered to the system with a card type, which at this point will update the access level of the system to make it easier. If importing from another system to a new installation to the Kentech software, things you have to be aware of. First, gather all the information needed from the other system. Example, card numbers, card username, access level, card tabs, pictures, etc. Think about adding supplementary information to the cards. You can have up to 10 fields of card information. You can have a start date, card status, pins, etc. Create or edit a valid patterns to be used for importing the CSV file into the Kentech. And once again, make sure to respect that pattern. You must know the purpose of each column. So now what we're going to do, we're going to see in the software to make it easier so you can relate. So now if we go to the workstation, so the first thing, we need to validate a card type. So the card type, by default in the system, there's the administrator, there's the employee, maintenance, security, and visitor. For the purpose of this demo, we create a new one. It's called test. So what we did with the test, we link it to a card access group also, which we call test also. So things very important to remember, it's the ID number of the test card type. So if you put your cursor on the test, so it's going to display the ID number, which is 2315. So now that's the first thing, so we can close that. So now the next thing we need to know, we need to go check the card access group that we created earlier. So it is called test also, and the access level that we assign to it, it's test also. So now we're going to validate the access level to see how it's defined. There's two ways that you can look at the access level. You can do it from here, right click and then edit, or you can go directly under user access level and then select that specific one. So for the access level test, what we created, it's going to give you access to door 1 and door 4 on the KT400 controller. And the schedule name is test. So once again, to verify what's in the test schedule, so we can do it directly from here with the right button and then select edit, and that will give you how the schedule is built. So just for the purpose, we're going to close that, and then we're going to go to the definition schedule, and then we're going to select the test schedule that we created. So one thing very important on the Kentech system, all the time must be entered in military time. So which is 0800 hours to 1700 hours from Monday through Friday. That's why I check the boxes. So now we know the schedule is created, the access level is created, the card access group is created, and the card tab is already created. So now the next thing we need to know, we need to go and check our CSV pattern. So the first thing we're going to go, I created one on the desktop, so we're going to analyze it. So the CSV pattern, so the column A, we put a plus sign, which means everything is going to be added or modified. So the column B represents the card number. So we have the card number for all the users. And the last one, I changed the format just so you can see the difference, because the format doesn't match, so we should not be able to import that card. And then second thing, the C column, that's the card username. So we just call them test for the time being. And the D column, that's the employee number, which is one of the card information fields that we can change the name. So we put it to employee ID. So those are the employee IDs. And this column E represents the card type. Remember in the beginning when we put the cursor on top of the test card type name, so it gave us the ID. So the ID is 2315. And then the next thing I wanted to add to the CSV form, to CSV file, I'm going to add pictures to the first 4 users in the system. So that's why I put the path where to go look for the picture for that specific users. So now analyze the file, everything is okay, so we're going to close it. We don't need to make any changes, just for the purpose. We're going to make a save. Okay, so now the file is saved. It already has the name. We're still going to leave it on the desktop. Okay, yes. I don't want to make changes, so now I can close my file. So now we're going to go into the EntraPass now, and then we're going to go to user import export. So under user import export, very important things. Under select operation, there's 2 operations that we can do. We can export if the card was already in the Kentex system. We can export the card database to a CSV file. So we're doing the opposite. So we're importing. So now we're going to, under select operation, we're going to select import. And then for the available patterns, there's 2 that is created by default in the system when it's installed. You have the EntraPass special, you have the EntraPass and the WinPass. For our demo, we create a new one, we call it test. And then for the test, what we select, the field separator, it's a comma. And then the transaction code, that's to represent, if it's a plus, that's going to mean to add. If it's a minus, it's going to delete. So then we have the card number that we're going to import, the card username, the employee ID, the card types, and the image file name. So now the next thing we need to know where to go locate that file. So the first thing, if you want to know how to create the pattern, you can create a new pattern here. And then from that, you have all the fields that you can select for your pattern. And also, this is the transaction codes. So as you see, you have the plus, which means like you're going to add a code. Plus, it's also signifying a modification of a code. And minus is going to delete. And the field separator, it's a comma. And then from that, you can select other fields that you want. But for now, we're just going to leave it to the comma as default in the system. So by default, you already have the transaction code and the card number that cannot be modified. So now we're not going to create a new one. This is just to show you how easy it is to build a pattern. So now the next thing on the transaction file, we click on the 3 dots, we're going to locate the file. So we're going to go to our desktop and then locate that specific file, import export. Okay, so we're going to select our file, we're going to import. So now it's not importing. Why it's not importing? So let's go check to the file. We're going to resave it as a CSV again. Okay. We don't want to mess up the first file that we created, so we're just going to make a little change. Call it 2, and then from that, make sure to save it as comma separated value. Okay, yes, I want to make it CSV, and then from that, I'm just going to close my file. Yes, I want to make the changes. Okay, so now we're done. So now we're going to go locate the file again. So if we go to user import export, so now on the transaction, select operation, select import, select our pattern. And then from that, we're going to locate our file, which is on the desktop. And remember, we changed the name, it's 2 now. So now, as we see, so the card add to modify, it gave us, so this is the card, this is the field separate, which is a comma, transaction code, which is a plus, card number, which is 0001, card username, which is test, ID number, which is 1, and the card type, which is 2215, and the image file name for the first 4 cards. As we said before in the CSV pattern. So the last one will not have any pictures to it. So now if we look at the last file, it's in red. Why it's in red? Because the format doesn't match what we have. So we see the card numbers, so the format is different compared to the other ones. So the reason why, it's if we go under option card format, the card format by default we have select, it's hexadecimal and decimal 24 bits. If we had selected a different format such as decimal 32-bit, so the last card will be able to import because it will match. So now we're going to go back to the user import export, and then we're going to select our operation, which is import, and then select our pattern, and then from that locate that file again, which is on the desktop, import to. So now we're going to import the cards. So now we can see there's a bar, so now it's importing the card. So all the cards are imported in the system now, except for the last one, which is the which was an error, because the card number, it's an invalid card number, so that's why it did not import it. Invalid card number, it doesn't match the other ones. So now if we go to our user cards now, since the cards are imported, so now if we go to user cards, we can scroll down, and then here's all the cards. So the first four card, I have assigned a picture to them. So now we see there's a picture assigned to the cards. Picture is assigned to the first four. And if we look at the access level, there's already an access level assigned to it because we had set a card type to the card, and that's why you see the card type here assigned to the to each of the cards. So this is how simple it was to add or import cards in the system via the an import export CSV in the EntraPass Corporate Edition.